Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I believe we're live right now, and
Oh,
I think Zen just popped on with us too, so that is awesome timing. Hey Zen, hi. But I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you out there in internet land, and thank you once again for showing up for the top motivational hangout on the net. We couldn't be happier to have you join us, and once again, in return, we promise to give you 1 hour of pure value to assist you in reaching your goals, your dreams, and most importantly, your freedom. So if you are new here, first time visiting, please be sure to introduce yourself in the chat role. We would all love to meet you. And we love doing this hangout for you guys, the dreamer, the doer, the entrepreneur, you, the person longing to make every day Freedom Day. So tonight's topic, it is simply, if you are all in, your next step is to go all out, plain and simple. Now, all in could mean mentally, it could be monetarily. But for me, last week, most of the girls on the hangout tonight, we were all attending an event in Las Vegas with Empower Network, and it was by far the best event I have ever been to in my life. I can't say I had my biggest breakthrough at it because I had that a year ago in Miami where I knew what my path was and I knew what to get doing. But this past event just had breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough, all these little breakthroughs, and it just kept building up. And if you missed it, I'm so sorry you did, because there were so many takeaways there that anyways, I just can't put it into words how wonderful it was. But the next one that we're going to have is called Unleash, and that is going to be held in Nashville on April 23rd, 24th, 25th, I believe, right in around that time, that last weekend. So it's called Unleash, and get ready for that. But for now, we're going to talk about this past one that we had that was called Revolution. And during that event, we would do, at spontaneous times, we would be asked to do this cheer. And it was like, 1, 2, 3, now. That was the word, N-O-W, which is such a simple word, 3 letters, but they truly are, those 3 letters combined are truly make up one of the most powerful words in the English language. Now. And so to prove this, like one of my favorite books of all time, it's written by a gentleman that's named Eugene O'Kelly, and the book that he wrote was called Chasing Daylight. He never was able to finish this book because he ended up passing away on August 2005, and in May of 2005, 3 months previous to that, he was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. At the time, he was the chief executive of one of the largest accounting firms in the country, KPMG accounting firm, six-figure earner, probably a seven-figure earner, and he was a self-described workaholic. And he was doing really well, but then he was diagnosed with this fatal disease, and he had to close out his life. He just had to say goodbye. He had thousands of friends, and he wrote everyone down on a list, from just the acquaintances that he knew in the mailroom at his work to his wife, Corinne, and his daughters, Marianne and Gina. And through all of this deep looking within himself at the end, he got right down to what was real in his life. And he found out that, wow, I've been focusing my entire life on work, money, success and fame, and all that stuff. And so what he did was he took and he drew circles, like a bullseye. You've got a big circle on the outside, and it goes into the smallest of circles. And the bullseye was his wife and kids. They were the ones that mattered the most. And the outside further circles were the ones that were, well, like I said, they were his acquaintances. So he realized that he had had all these different relationships in his life and all these different things going on, and none of it really mattered. And he was spending the least amount of time with the people who mattered the most, and those were his inner circle, his wife and his daughters. And I think what excuse me, I think one of the takeaways is one of the quotes that I liked the best from his book, and that was, as for those considering taking the time someday to plan their final weeks and months, 3 words of advice: move it up, move it up. And I want you to realize about moving, putting a sense of urgency to your path and your plan. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. We say it all the time. I quit my job back in May of 2013, and that was the time in my life that I decided I'm going to move it all up. I'm going to put a sense of urgency as if I've got 90 days to live. And I didn't know about his story because I hadn't read the book yet. But at the same time, I was putting that same sense of urgency to my own life, thinking, I've got to do something. I've got to do something. I'm getting to be as old as dirt. And if not now, when am I going to do it? And you need to ask yourself that same question. If not now, when are you going to go for it? You have the tools. Okay, you have the tools. You have the plan. I think the question that you need to start asking yourself is, and this is the $1 million question that you've really got to ask, is why do you keep saying that you want this? Why do you keep telling yourself, I want it. I want this freedom. I want to make money. I want this business. I want to make this work. I want the vacation home. I want. Whatever it is that you want, okay, fill in the blanks, and hopefully it's more substantial than just money. As I've said before, in my case, it did start out with the money for me, but quickly, and I mean quickly, my thought process changed from being all about the money. And, you know, I don't know anybody, at least that I know personally, that has had a tremendous amount of value in the world that it's ever really been about the money. They knew that if they added the value, that the money was going to come some way. When I look at Mother Teresa or Maya Angelou, people like that, I never got a sense that it was about the money and fame. I got that they were really, really dialed in. They were one of the few people in the world who knew what their purpose was in life, and they followed an incredible passion to, and that was actually to serve other people. The ones that I know in my small world that I operate in, the motivator, the believer in you type of world, the ones that I know that are super successful, balanced and grounded, you know, the people that are in my niche, you just get that feel for, wow, they're happy, man. They are content. They've got joyfulness. And what they did is they understood why they wanted to do what they wanted to do. They had the tools, they had the mentor, and they had the success. Now you out there, you've got 2 of those 3. You don't have the success yet, or maybe you do have some of the success, but right now I'm going to talk to the individuals that maybe you're not where you need to be or you want to be right away in your whole success spectrum. You have the tools because they're all out there, online, offline, whatever tools you need. Learning about marketing, learning about business. You've got this hangout for inspiration, for the motivation. You've got the tools, and you've got the mentor. I mean, heck, if someone on this panel is your mentor, you got a great mentor. And I'm also sure you have other mentors in your life that are giving you great advice too. You know, by the way, if you're the smartest person in the group, It's time to get a new group. You know that, right? So don't be the smartest person in the group. That is never going to lift you higher. Just thought I'd add that in there. But if you've got the tools, if you've got the mentor, but you're not having success, here is the solution. Unleash. Get clear on what's important to you today. Get clear on what is important to you today. Okay? Not based on some old blueprint or old belief system from many, many years ago. Again, we talk about this hangout a lot. You're betting on the old you. You have to stop that. You have to get with the blueprint, not the blueprint that you used to follow 5 to 10 years ago. Because that isn't going to work in today's world. It just isn't. From a personal development perspective, from a business perspective, if you've got a blueprint that's 6 years old, it's outdated, my friend. You got to change it up. But you've also got to get clear on what's important to you today. Are things that were important to you 5 to 10 years ago the same things that are important to you today? No. Have you had kids? Have you had a new job? Did you start a new business? Did you downsize? Did you get downsized? Did you minimize your life? Did you switch geographically? What's changed? So things today in your life are much different than they were just 5 years ago. At least if you're trying to do something, they should be. Okay? Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of individuals out there whose life really doesn't look a whole heck of a lot different than it did 5 years ago. But I don't think that's really anybody that listens to this hangout, because I don't know about how you could listen to this hangout and not at least try to be something. At least get started, try a new job, get relocated, get into a new business, network marketing, MLM, create your own product, become an affiliate, go speak, go mow lawns. I mean, whatever it is that you want to do, go for it. Go do it now. But 80% of your success in anything, 80%, and I would submit that it's probably even a little higher than that, but I'm going to use the number 80%. 80% of your success isn't anything. It's your psychology, okay? 80% of your success in anything is your psychology. It's the 6 inches between your ears. You've got the tools, and you've got the mentor, you've got the map, you've got the game plan, you've bought all the courses that you can possibly buy. You've been to every live event you can possibly go to over the last few years. Right now, what you need to do the main thing that most people can't do, and I actually couldn't do it when I started either, and that is to resolve your inner conflict. And this is a tough one. Let me give you an example of an inner conflict. Can I buy a vowel, please? But anyways, an inner conflict would be, they're just two things that just don't jive together. They just don't go together. For example, I want to build a billion-dollar business, and I want to have tons and tons of free time along the way. Well, that's not going to happen. That's a conflict. Those two things do not go together. And this is just one of the inner conflicts that people have. There's hundreds of them out there, but here's the bottom line. Until you resolve them and get clear on what's important to you today, I mean today, as a kid, I mean, heck, not even as a kid. Like Nettie Estes 2 years ago, what was important to me 2 years ago isn't even close to what's important to me today. Today, what's important to me is getting this message out to you every single week on a regular basis to inspire you to go after your dream. That wasn't important to me 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I just wanted life to leave me alone. I wanted to hide from society. I was almost an introvert. Yeah, can you believe that? This lady that's got diarrhea in the mouth, at one point she didn't say anything. And when I got into this business, well, I thought the internet lifestyle was going to afford me an opportunity to do everything I wanted to do and not really have to work too much. Well, wake up call. Anything that you really want is going to require your effort. I'm not going to call it work because I think work's rather a four-letter word and it has a negative connotation to it. It's going to require effort. But when you're clear on what's important to you, here's what you have. When you resolve all your inner conflicts and you get clear on what it is that you want today, you are aligned. And when you're aligned, there is no more work involved. Anybody listening to the Tilt Hangout, and you want to make a lot of money, be successful, and have great relationships, and not have to work, that is the ticket to it. Because alignment eliminates work. Meaning you woke up today and you just jumped out of your bed and your feet hit the ground and you were excited to go do what it is that you're doing right now. And the monetary compensation coming back to you is going to be huge. Maybe not right now, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now. But you know it's coming because you are 100% alignment with your mind, your spirit, your body. And you've resolved the inner conflict from those teenage years through your college years to your early 20s, 30s, 40s, and even older. You are now free to go do what it is that you truly love to do. So, give yourself 90 days to live, but don't put it in that context. Have that sense of urgency. Give yourself 90 days to launch, okay? And understand, put a sense of urgency to your plan. I mean, really, seriously, give yourself a sense of urgency. You can't sit around any longer just dreaming this thing up. You've got to take that focused action. 3 steps. Focus on what you want and make it compelling. Put a great story to why it is that you want to do what you want to do, and go get the best. Get the best tools, the best mentor, the best map to success. Unleash, baby. Just unleash. And we will see you at the Unleash in Nashville. So that's pretty well it for me. And I would really, at this point in time, like to calm down and and bring in our little sweet Shirley and let her have the floor for a while.
Thank you, Nettie. And I just, before I go into what I'm speaking about tonight, I want to touch on what you said about the power of now. That the power of now has really changed how I look at success and how I look at deserving of it now. Because I think sometimes when we go to take action, we're projecting, what we want, but we're projecting it to a future you that is worthy of success. You've got to feel worthy of success now. You've got to, go after your dreams now. And, one time in my life when that was just so real to me and so just earth-shattering to me was I'd always been the youngest of all my friends, and that kind of gave me this false sense of, oh, I'm going to be young forever. I'm going to always have time to do stuff because everyone is ahead of me. I still have time. And my wedding day came around, and 3 weeks before my wedding, I found some lumps. And I got married at 19. I thought I had my whole life to go after my dreams and have babies, and suddenly I was faced with this awful feeling of dread that I had actually let my life slip away, that I hadn't taken action, and that I hadn't used that power of now to change my life. And I remember those agonizing weeks. I think it was about 6 weeks in the wedding planning that I didn't know what was going to be happening to me. And I mean, for some people, lumps are, no big thing, but my mom passed away from breast cancer when she was 39. And to me, I knew that this was a wake-up call. I knew that it was time for me to take my life more seriously. And shortly after, got good news. But looking back, I'm just really thankful and grateful that that happened to me, because it just changed me. The power of now can change you. And like Nettie said, you may not have to go through a near-death experience or think you're dying or anything like that to put a sense of urgency in your life, but just imagine you're on your deathbed, or imagine you're an old person, you've lived a long, happy life, and you're looking back and you're just thinking, what would have happened if I wouldn't have taken action? What would have happened if I would have just sat back, watched TV, ate Cheetos for my whole entire life? What if I wouldn't have? And look back on your life and imagine all the beautiful things that you got to do with all the beautiful people that you love. And imagine that never happening, right? You've got to instill the power of now. And that's actually the name of the book. So me and Nettie didn't come up with that catchphrase all by ourselves. It's actually by Eckhart Tolle, if I'm saying that right. You guys could check it out. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that before I go into what I wanted to talk about tonight. And that is, there's something that happens to you when you fall in, financially, emotionally, mentally, right? And you're ready to take the next step and you're ready to go all out, which to me means taking massive action. But there's something that stops you in between those two things. What is it? And that's what I want to touch on tonight. I want to touch on the fear. And it's a scary word, but I think that when you understand your fear, it cannot control you anymore. It cannot control you anymore. You don't have to get rid of your fear. You don't have to think you need to be perfect and have no fear. You just need to understand your fear, and then it has no power over you. So why this is so real to me today, and maybe you are wondering why I have these huge bags under my eyes, but I've actually had quite a nerve-wracking day dealing with fear, raw, intense fear. And it started happening about 24 hours ago, and I was faced with something that terrified me. And when I tell you what it is, you're probably going to laugh, you're probably going to think, Shirley, you're crazy, I don't get why you'd be so scared, but I want to take you back. This is why I was scared. When I first started driving, you have to remember that when I was 16, I just left the Amish. I'd never driven before. And in my first 2 weeks of driving after I left, I actually got into 2 accidents. One was caused by my own hands. One was caused by my now husband. And it traumatized me because I didn't know how to handle a vehicle. And I was always scared. And what I was dealing with was a road test. Yes, I actually did a road test today on one of the stormiest days in Canada. I made it to my road test. But anyway, I'll take you back 24 hours ago and why I was so nervous. This is what you have to understand about fear, is that it comes up and it grabs you by the throat, and maybe you're only sleeping 3 hours a night, but you're going out of your mind with this anxiety. And the closer and closer you get to a deadline or a test, or let's say you're in your business and you've got to be taking action, you've got to be doing a 21-day challenge, right? And you're not doing it. The closer you get to that deadline, the more that fear is just going to rear its ugly head, and you just have to deal with it. And what I've noticed about fear is that it brings up the past. And what I remembered about my past fear was I kept telling myself, you never did well under pressure. So you're going to crack, you're going to choke, you're not going to pass. And I kept all these negative things kept rolling around in my head, and I was throwing up, I was not sleeping. It was getting crazy, it was getting out of control. I had to deal with my fear. So I decided I was going to just do whatever it takes because I got to get through the next 24 hours. So what I did to to control my fear. And this is what you can do if you've been having a problem with just saying you're all in and then wondering why you aren't getting results. This is why you've got to look at what's holding you back. First, you've got to do a pro and cons list. And what this does is it makes your fear realistic. What are the cons of losing the test, or what are the pros of losing, right? What are the pros of acing my test? What are the cons of acing my test? You've got to look at your business or your dreams or whatever your fear that you're really going through as something that is laid out in front of you. Everything that you may have to get out a pen and paper and just spew a whole bunch of words. Just let them come out of your mouth and out of your soul. That's the way you'll actually get face to face with your fear. And then after I did the pro and cons list, I started reminding myself of a few key principles. I told myself, Shirley, you've gone through stuff way worse than this, way worse than a drive test. You got your wisdom teeth out, that was terrifying. You left the Amish, that was hell. That you had to go to school, you got through school, that was that. You had a scare with lumps, all those things. I reminded myself of all the fears I'd had, and I told myself it's really not that bad. It's really, really not that bad. And then the last thing that I did in helping me control this fear was, and this is why you've got to be listening to Mindset every day. It actually saves your ass in the end. I had heard an Inner Circle call a few days, maybe a few weeks ago actually. It was a story of a man who had fears of public speaking, and I'm paraphrasing, so I'm not going to be quoting this, by the book, but he had a fear of public speaking, and he had gone to therapy or some class to get over this. And when he was asked, how do you know that he had told the therapist or whatever, when I get up to the front, I just know it's going to go awful. I know I'm going to just do an awful job. And then I do. I stutter and things just go awful. And then he was asked, how do you know it's going to go bad? So he describes his feeling. He gets up to the stage, he has this feeling in the pit of his stomach, his heart feels like a rock, his lips are dry, he starts trembling, he gets really cold, whatever his physical feelings were, right? And that was all fine and dandy. And there was this rock star, or this famous other person, also in the office for another issue, and he had overheard, or he had asked the rock star, how do you always pull off such great performances? And this famous person / rock star said, well, I get up on stage, I get this feeling in my stomach, my heart feels like a rock, my lips get dry, I get cold, and he describes all those feelings, and he says, that's how I know it's going to be a great performance. That's how I know I'm going to ace it. That's how I know I'm going to do the best show I've ever done in my life. And I just kept clinging to that. I kept clinging to the fact that my fear is not going to control me. And you know what? Maybe it's not fear at all. Maybe it's not fear at all. Maybe it's just a premonition, however you say that word, of something that is greater to come. Maybe it is warning me that there's something better just around the corner. What if all these aches and pains and worries and stresses that you're having about your business is just kind of, you're getting your wires crossed, and it's actually telling you, you know what, you're going to just have this amazing experience, and it's just going to be so awesome, and all these emotions you're going through right now are just preparing you for something so great on the other side. Okay? So that's how I kind of got around controlling my fear. I went through this list over and over and over, and what you've got to understand is that as I was going through this list, I was being grateful that I was being blessed with this challenge, and I knew I was going to get through it, and I knew it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I knew if I'd failed, my life wouldn't be over, and it wouldn't be that bad. And as I went through it, I realized it didn't mean my fear was going to go away. It didn't mean that all of a sudden, just because I did everything right, that I get to not have fear anymore. No, it means I still threw up. I still tried to bargain with God and tell him, you know what, if you let me pass this stupid road test, I will do anything. I still had cold sweats. I still had all that stuff. But I knew in the bottom of my heart that I was going to be okay, and that instead of focusing on my fear, I was going to focus on what it's going to feel like when I pass my test. And that's what you've got to do. Some of you are not going all in, you're not going all out because you're letting your fear control you, and you don't want to stay present in your fear. You want to get rid of your fear, but I'm telling you, you've got to embrace your fear and decide that fear is not going to stop you. It is not going to be your excuse. You're going to go out, you're going to unleash who you really are in despite of that fear, because trust me, you're going to get up on stage someday, you're going to have all the sensations of fear, and you can either tell yourself it's fear, or you can tell yourself that it's just a warning that it's going to be a badass show. So last thing I want to talk about is something was going through my mind as I was preparing for this hangout, and I decided I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to challenge you to start going all in, start going all out. And for the next week before our next hangout, I want you to tell us, to tell me what you're doing to go all in, to go all out. So every day, if you do a picture, a screenshot, whatever you're doing to get through your fear, to go all in, to go all out, I want you to hashtag it. Hashtag go all in, go all out. Hashtag totally inspired living, or you can hashtag get to Nashville. And I'm going to be watching for those hashtags, and if you're doing your homework, if you decide to take me up in this challenge, maybe I will have a few minutes next week to publicly congratulate you for rising up and taking your life to the next level and deciding that 2015 is going to be different and you're not going to let your fear dominate you anymore. One of my biggest breakthroughs from the past event, and this is a scary one for me, is that the breakthrough was I am never going to miss another event again. Yes, I was one of those people that did not go to the event, and I'm publicly saying that my biggest breakthrough was that I am never missing another event again. Never. So you can hold me to that. I want to see what you want to be held accountable to, and let's do this together. Let's make 2015 happen. Let's do it together. And I will see you either in Nashville or our hangouts or whenever. And I cannot wait to see you start rising up and taking control of your life.
That was wonderful, Shirley May. And I am going to hold you to that. I'm going to see you in Nashville. Maybe we'll do the boot, scoot, and boogie on stage together. How would that be? Oh, thank you for all those wise words of wisdom. Fear is a killer. Fear is a killer. And I think, you know, most of us on this panel, we still get bouts of it. There's no doubt about it. We still do. But I think, you know, with working together with the Total Inspired Living Tribe and having the unity that we have, we've helped each other combat that fear. And you know, it's like videos. If you're afraid of doing a video, just start doing them, because the first one's probably going to suck. Get used to it. But after you do 10 or 15 of them, whoa, you don't care anymore. The fear's gone. So, you know, thank you for reiterating that and telling us about your driving test, because I can relate to that snowy stuff in Canada. You know, that's the angels having the diarrhea, right? Oh, did I just say that? Anyways, the next one that I'm going to bring on tonight is Miss E. Now, Erica Udano is tremendously special. She is personally one of my private mentors. I don't share her. No, I'm joking. I share her with Steve. But she's always got something. It's just a breakthrough for me whenever I hear her talk. It's wonderful to listen to her, and she's typically last on our hangout, but tonight she's got something special going on at 9 o'clock, so we have to get her out the door. So I want her to come on now and speak to us and tell us what her biggest takeaway, breakthrough, whatever you want to call it, golden nugget, was from our event in Las Vegas, and how it can help everyone watching with their business, no matter what business they're in.
Thank you, darling. And yeah, kind of weird for me to be going third. I normally like going on the tail end because I kind of like, yeah, I'm going to wrap this baby up and get you all out of here by 9 o'clock. But, you know, just thank you so much for bringing me out, and hard acts to follow you too. Wow. So here's what I've been preparing for tonight's segment. And I'll start at the beginning. You know, the title of, you know, tonight's show is Go All In and Then Go All Out. There was another sentence at the end of that phrase. Can you guys still see me? You guys can just give me a thumbs up. Can you see me? Awesome, awesome. And I can't repeat that on air because it's quite rated, but it really did shock all of us who were there in Vegas. And if you want to know, you know, what the end of that sentence was, private message me. I might tell you. But yeah, it was like go all in, get all out, or da 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 da. And that really smacked me between the eyes because it reminded me of how I was before my very first event. And if you know my story, you know, I made every excuse in the book not to get to my first event. I was in New Zealand, you know, practically we'd gone through our savings. It was not a comfortable time for me to be deciding, yeah, I'm going to jump on a plane, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars, and I'm going to go from New Zealand to Atlanta to, you know, go to my first event. Yeah, that's just not happening. I was all in. I was going through all of the motions. I was doing everything I thought I had to make this business work. But there was something missing. And this is something I can never explain to any of you who choose to not get to events. I can't explain what happens when you go to an event. There's something about being all in your company and having your company all in you. When I got to my first event in Atlanta, something shifted on a massive scale. And I realized that I was all in mentally, but I was not all in with my heart. I didn't have it in here because I didn't know what I was part of. And it wasn't until I saw the people around me, I saw my colleagues, I saw the people that I respected and admired up on stage, I saw the leaders of our company speak, that I understood that I was a part of something so huge on a level I had no comprehension of until I got to that event. I went home, and 4 months later, we had our first 5-figure month. Income disclaimer, results not typical, we worked our asses off. But here's the thing, if I hadn't got to that first event, I would not have believed in what was possible. And I got to tell you, I saw some people up on stage, and I'm like, oh no, you don't. Oh no, you don't. And I got fired up, and I looked at these people on stage, and I'm like, oh damn, if you can do this, I can do this. And it is the sense of belief you get when you see other people around you doing what you want to be doing, achieving the results you want to achieve, that gives you the conviction to go home and repeat that and do that yourself. Now, my biggest breakthrough, I always go to my events with an intention, and my intention for this for Vegas was to see my team break through, because this was a very special event for me. And I've seen, you know, lots of my team members there before, but I had some people coming from New Zealand, okay? And for me, it was extremely important for me that they had a breakthrough similar to mine when I went to my first event. Because it is a big deal when you fly internationally from like New Zealand, from, you know, the UK, wherever, overseas to get to an American event. It is a big deal. It's a big risk getting on those big planes and getting all that way, especially some of us go by ourselves, right? So for me, it was so important to hang with the team. And I knew that if I could just sit with them before the event, at lunch, at dinner, hangouts at midnight, you know, in the bars, I knew that we could manifest breakthroughs. And I see it happening. I see it in the conversations that people are having after Vegas. I see it in the videos they're cutting. I see it in the way they talk about their business and their vision. These people weren't saying these things prior to Vegas. I've got one girl down in New Zealand. She cut her first video yesterday. She got like 75 likes on it. And she did it in front of her family and friends. Now, she didn't do that prior to Vegas. So why is she doing it now? Because the company is now in her. She's not just all in mentally, now she's all in emotionally with her heart. And she's speaking her vision. And people are like, oh my God, you go, girl. You go, girl. And for me, that was the breakthrough I was looking for. Proving to you that if you get to an event, you will not come out the same person the way you went in. Okay, so darlings, I'm going to wrap that up because I know we've still got 2 more girls to speak, and Nettie is going to wrap it up at the end. But I just want to say this thing about going all out, and Aaron Rashkin said this on stage, and I think this one phrase just really struck with me, and it was kind of like, oh my God, that's really jarring. He goes, if your kids were sick, you would still feed them, right? You need to love your business as much as you love your kids. If your kids were sick, you would still feed them. And what he was referencing there was the fact that you need to pay attention to your business every single day. It is not a hobby. It is not going to build itself. It requires your life force. It requires your energy, your passion. It requires you. And it requires the energy you get when you come back from an event. Again, if your kids were sick, you would still feed them. You need to treat your business like you would your kids. All right, my darlings? So on that note, I'm out. I'll still be listening here on the sidelines, but thank you so much for coming. I'm just so excited by all of the passion I see in the comments and the things. I'm just so excited because it's wonderful because I know that you guys in that conversation, you guys went to Vegas and you had breakthroughs, and I saw stuff happening to you guys, you guys that are commenting in the threads. You just came alive, and I love that, and it just, gets me so excited. See you in Nashville, guys. Mwah. I'm out.
She's not excited, is she? She keeps her cool pretty well. You know, she doesn't show emotions. Heck yes, we're excited. We are so excited about what we saw last weekend and what the companies come out with that anybody can use in their business. So we are excited, and we can't wait to unleash in Nashville in 3 months. So yeah, she has every right to get like that and be excited. So I need to move it right along so that we can get everybody in here. Kristen, I'm going to let you go today and talk now, and then Zem can wrap it up for us, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, I love these hangouts for me personally because I feel the energy, and it's exactly what I want to talk about from my takeaway from Vegas is energy. And but actually I have 3 words written down that I want to touch on really, really quickly, and that's time, energy, and decision. Those are the 3 things that have been going in my mind constantly since Vegas, and really even since before Vegas as I was preparing to go to the event. So time. Understanding that time is your most valuable asset, but it is your most limited asset, and it is the one thing that you can never get back. Yesterday, you can never get back. That hour you wasted watching TV, you can never get that back. That's gone. And Nettie shared stories about, preparing for the end of your life. And the thing is we don't know when our time is going to run out. And so you've got to live now. You've got to take your business to where you want it to be now, because you want to be living the life that you are dreaming of now. You can't wait a year, you can't wait 2 years to make things happen, because that time might not be there. And that's time that even if you still have 50 years to live, the next 2 years, if you waste them, that's 2 years that you can never get back. But here's the thing, if you're sitting here like me, it can get a little depressing because you can look back and say, oh crap, I wasted 45 minutes yesterday. Oh crap, I wasted the last 2 years of my life. That sucks. But here's the thing. All you have to do is you take what you've learned from the past. You take what you've grown and where you've come from, you take that and then you learn from it and you let it go. Let the past be in the past and let today be your fresh start. And that's what Vegas was for me. It was being in the now, letting go of the past, and accepting the fact that I've learned, I've grown, and I've become someone completely different. But it's time for me to step up and really become the person I'm meant to be. But always keep in mind that time, it's so valuable, so don't waste it. And the biggest component of wasted time is fear. We spend so much time, like Shirley said, sitting there being afraid, and so afraid that we won't take action, and that's what leads to wasted time. So take the challenge up that Shirley offered, because if you can overcome your fears, then you won't waste time. So on to my next word, which was energy. We discussed this, like, I think our last hangout, which we missed last week, but the week before that, we talked a lot about the people that you hang out with. And the reason why I love events, and this Vegas event was especially energizing for me, but it's being around the right type of energy. On a daily basis, we all work from home. We're all working from our offices and from our couches and from our beds, maybe from Starbucks. On a regular basis, we're not always surrounded by the right type of energy. We have friends from the past, we have family that aren't necessarily where we are. And so to be around people who are like-minded and who are willing to go all out in their own business because they're in the event and they're at the event and they're all in and they're going all out, the energy is different. And it's an energy that I feel like you can almost bottle it up and bring it home with you. So it changes everything when you're around positive people and people who aren't living their lives within the box. So to me, that's the biggest takeaway, is recognizing sometimes we're not even aware of the energy that surrounds us until we change it, until we get around something else. And that's the thing, is you could be sitting at home right now and saying, I don't really need to go to events. I don't really need events because, you know what, I'm doing okay in my business. I'm going to get there. Once I make money, then I'll go to the event. That's not how it works, because what you don't recognize is the energy that's surrounding you is hindering you from moving faster, from moving farther. And you don't even recognize it because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to change it. So get around the right energy, understanding that time is your most valuable asset. And then the third word is decision. If you follow me on Facebook, and if you're friends with me on Facebook, if you're not, make sure you throw me a friend request, because I'd love to connect with you. But I've done a lot of videos this week about making a decision, and that's the only way to go all out, is to really truly make a decision, to make a decision that you feel inside of you. You feel it and you understand the fact that once you make that decision, there's no going back. There's no stopping. There's just going forward. And so that decision is life-changing, but you really have to embrace it. You can't half-heartedly say, yeah, I'm going to the event, or yeah, I bought a ticket. You know, if I waste $100, I waste $100. No, you have to make a decision. Make a decision and don't look back. Just do it. So those are my biggest takeaways from the event. Was understanding time, understanding the importance of energy, and understanding the importance of truly making a decision. So keep those three words in mind as you follow this week and you really decide what you're going to do in your business, because like they told us at the event, you have to PM Erica for the exact wording, but there's only two choices, and that's either you do it or you don't. And we want you here. We want you to do it because we know you're capable of it, but don't waste your time. If you're not going to do it, you're wasting time. Do something else that you really love. So just find out what it is and do it. And that is all for me tonight. I'll let Zen take over, well, Nettie first, but I'll pass it on.
Great words, Kirsten, great words. And like you said, you either do it or you don't do it. And if you're going to do it now. Don't wait till Thursday at noon hour, or next Monday night, or the first of the month. Do it now. You know, when you talked about fear there, I just want to mention something. I thought that one of the most powerful sentences that I heard spoken at the event was by David Wood. And what he said was, and I'm going to read it because I have it written down, it's not nice to keep people poor because you don't have the courage. Really think about those words, gang. Really, really think about it. Because so many of you have it inside of you to do this. And think of all the lives you can change. Think how you can better them. So with those words, I'm going to move it on to Zen now. So come on, Sweet Pea, and let us know what's going on in your world.
Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Well, I was going to launch straight into the event, the questions that went through my mind. And I think I'm still going to do that, but I will get back to energy because we all know that, you know, I've got to add the woo-woo touch in there somewhere. But while I was listening to Dave Woods speaking, you know, he was very strong, and it was do it, don't do it, or I think he used pretty strong wording, or just go get a job, or you can hang around for the culture if you like, but just don't kid yourself. And, you know, in that moment I started thinking, you know, it creates more inner stress to not do what you think you should be doing while you're sitting at your home office than actually doing what you want to be doing to propel your business. So if you want to lower your stress level, just do what you intended to do that day. Because the 3 questions were this, and I asked myself these questions, and I'm going to answer them from my point of view for you briefly, but I know that everybody has a different set of questions. So I'm going to take you right back to the beginning, and what was that thought? And we all know I'm big into energy and thought changes everything and shifts everything. So what was that original thought when you opted in on someone's page? What were you thinking about in those moments? Because if it was freedom lifestyle, or yes, I want to work for myself, then you came to the right place. Now, I literally stalked Erica, so, you know, there's no big deal there. We all know what happened there. So she was reading the same books as me. I went, yep, same wavelength, I'm in. The second question is similar, but what were you searching for in Google that day? What were you looking for? Were you looking for your own business? Because if you were, everything takes some action. Everything takes some effort. But if you're going to be, especially an entrepreneur, because a job requires effort and action also, but an entrepreneur actually requires you to embody that energy of, yes, I believe that I can run my own business. I want to so much that I am going to stretch myself in every way to do this. And then the third thing was, what's that thought that goes through your head right before you don't do what you know you want to do, that action that will propel you forward? Let's say you're sitting at your desk and you want to write a blog post and you're just, what? You got writer's block? You got video block? You've got podcast block? You have to figure ways to propel yourself through that. And the 3 questions that kind of occurred to me, and the truth is that decision. And if you need to sit there and make another decision, the part about going all out, then do that. But now I want to talk about energy, because it came up, and it came up about fear with Shirley with her teeth and her driver's license. And I just want to tell you that energy either comes from a place of fear or it comes from a place of love. And yes, there's 900 shades of gray in between, or 50 or so, whatever. But fear triggers can immobilize you. And so some of the ways, and I've gone over it here, and I've written it in blog posts, but the number one, and I want anybody who even giggles when they hear this again, to do it twice a day. Because looking at yourself every morning in that bathroom mirror, no spouses or kids allowed, and looking deeply into your own eyes and saying, I love you, and your first name, 3 times, can change so much. It makes you gentle towards yourself and gentle towards others, which leads me into the second thing. Because when you're in fear, what would happen if a friend of you came to you and said, I'm afraid of taking my driver's license. You would walk them through it, wouldn't you? You would be kind and sweet and compassionate, and you would say nice things that would help dial it down. So they went in there with the right energy and the right feeling so that they knew they were golden. That's what you would do for a friend. And that's what you'll get out of saying I love you and your first name in that mirror every morning. I guarantee you. Do it for 21 days. It's kind of, okay. Whatever it is, be willing to let it go, too. Be willing to just let it go. And that might take a deep breathing exercise, which also will help you to stay present. And that is breathing in deeply to a count of 3, holding it at the top for a count of 1, and then exhaling through your mouth and nose and completely emptying your lungs, throwing everything out with it that is holding tension or anything that isn't serving you, any thoughts that aren't serving you. Shoot it out on that exhale, okay? And I want to tell you just a quick exercise for when we talk about fear and that breathing with fear. Fear can easily shift into excitement, nice excitement, by the way you breathe. Because normally we're in fear, you're breathing shallowly and you're at the top of your lungs. Stop, take that deep breath, and make it come from your diaphragm. That's a place of excitement, excitement for doing good things. And so that's my little tip for from my hypnotherapy that I do, that I give to everybody, because breathing is everything and it keeps you present moment, okay? Now I want to tell you the 2 things that I have written on my big mirror over here, and my closet doors actually have mirrors on it too. So I wrote these a while ago because they kind of go along with the I love you exercise. And one of them is love without conditions. Don't have any conditions on people. That way you don't have to hold grudges, you don't have to do anything. Just love without conditions, because that drops fear right on its face. There's nothing to fear. And then the other thing that I have written is, and make commitments and commit to your commitments, which goes back to that question number 3. What is it that, what's the thought that runs through your head right before you don't do the action that you know you want to do to propel your business forward? Because if you identify that as fear of failure or fear of success, and believe me, both exist. People fear success just as much as they fear failure. And interestingly enough, they are just polarities, and they come up a lot for everyone. So you're not alone if you feel that. So just examine those thoughts, and make sure you lower your stress on that. On that third thing, because you're creating more stress for yourself by not doing what you want to do than by doing it. And we're coming up on the hour, so I wanted to touch into the integrated part of doing what you do, because work can be play. So if you love doing videos, do videos. And today it was interesting because I listened to a podcast by Justin, and it's certainly by no means why I did a podcast, but today I felt very comfortable because I did a podcast for my blog post. And you know why? I finally figured it out. I'm a hypnotherapist. Most people have their eyes closed and they're listening to my soothing voice when they're in my office. And I'm so comfortable kicking back in my chair and almost going into hypnosis for them and with them that I don't think about being on camera. But I'm going to try overcoming that comfort level. And I have to a certain degree. I don't mind it. But I just loved doing the podcast today. So anyways, I'm going to unleash it with that. And then I wanted to tell you just a very quick story about being about the money. Because life can change in 1 minute, and we all know that. And years ago, I was in sales, and I made no money, 0 money. I was dialing for dollars. I was cold calling like an idiot. I didn't want to talk. I called this chickie at Pizza Hut, and she was the gatekeeper. I talked to her a million times before, and she kept saying, stop calling. And I told her, I said, you know what? Today, if you put me through this one last time, I promise you I will never call again. Just please let me speak to her. And she let me speak to this woman, and guess what? They were desperate for what I needed, and I had an appointment for that Monday morning, and it turned out to be my largest account, and I made money. So life can change in a minute when you do for your business what you almost fear doing. Change that fear to excitement. Take a deep breath, breathe it from your diaphragm, and get excited about taking that next step. That way you don't create stress for yourself. You release it and let it go. And that's, I think, I think I've covered all my notes, so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Nettie, to wrap it up real quick. But listen, whoever brought you here, go back to them and get in and go all out. Okay? Whatever it is that you do, get in, go all out, and make sure you get to Nashville to the events, because it's really important to show up for events. They're awesome in terms of having breakthroughs. They're awesome for connecting with people that you know only through social media, and you just don't know what comes out of it, because like I said, life can change in a minute. So on that note, I'm going to say peace out.
Thanks, Ann. And yeah, I want to remind everybody too, we're going to close it out because the Empower Hour is coming on, but I hope you've gotten some kind of the breakthroughs that we had and the knowledge that we brought back home. We didn't even touch on the technical end of things that happened with Neil Patel. Oh my gosh, if you're in our company, you know how much he exploded and gave us tidbits for our business. But back to what we learned, you know, we learned that motivation and taking the deep breaths. There was Toby and Layla on stage talking about that. There was Dee Varangia talking about that also. And then there was other just slam bam. Look, do it or get out. Like, you know what? Nobody's here to babysit you. Nobody's here to hold your hand. We all want you to succeed, but you're the one. You're the one inside that has to decide that you're going to do it. 1, 2, 3, now. Do it now, okay? And I want you to get back to the person that invited you here tonight, or you can click on the button, Let's Get Started. It's right below. It'll take you to the person that invited you. It's linked to them. Or get a hold of us on Facebook if you still got questions, or send us an email, something. We are always available, so never think that we're not. But do it for yourself and do it quickly. Make 2015 your very best. We're going to see you in Nashville in 3 months. The event is called Unleash, and it is going to be off the chain. I already know that. So click the button, get on the team. Total Inspired Living Tribe welcomes you with open arms. I'm telling you, we are just such a tribe of wanting to see you all succeed. So have a great week. Love you all for showing up. You never let us down. And click the button, folks. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Take care.